Lieutenant Kerrigan reporting. I'm ready. What now? Easily amused, huh? Doesn't take a telepath to know what you're thinking.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Play 1001 Games. I'm your host, Gaming Jay, and today is a very special episode. This is our Starcraft episode, and Starcraft, of course, is the real-time strategy game from the 1990s/2000s era. I love real-time strategy games. I grew up playing Dune 2 to Command and Conquer, and I love those games. I liked Warcraft just fine. I liked it a lot because of its fantasy setting, but it didn't really blow my socks off in terms of gameplay. But wow, when Starcraft came out, 3 unique races with supreme balance between them. It has an awesome single-player campaign, multiplayer options. It is a campaign editor where you can create your own RPGs in the game and have use map settings, custom matches. It had it all. It basically had it all. Now, StarCraft is actually experiencing its 20th anniversary. And last year, a remastered version of this game came out, so you can download it for free and play this game in 4K Ultra HD graphics. And the game was remastered with feedback from the Korean pros and blah, blah, blah. For our purposes, as you can see down here in the bottom right corner, we are playing the good old-fashioned version 1.00. That means no balance updates, no changes, nothing. This is the vanilla StarCraft you got when you bought it from the store in 1998 and walked it home after school and slammed it into your older brother's computer because yours didn't have a CD-ROM drive, but his did. This is the game. Now, I've gone ahead and created a user ID Joker. That actually is the username that I used to use for a long time when I played StarCraft. I used to play it on Battle.net quite a bit with some friends, and I'll talk about that later in the video. But I thought for old time's sake, I should use my old handle. Now, I have gone through and completed each of these campaigns previously. I did this a couple months back, actually, just for funsies. So we're going to have our choice of which levels to choose. And what we're going to do is today we're going to actually explore some of the Terran missions. We're not going to play them all because it could take hours to go through the campaign. But we're going to explore some of the Terran missions. I have a part 2 of this series coming out, or this game coming out for the Zerg in a couple days, and then we'll go ahead and do a part 3 where we play a couple of Protoss missions. So StarCraft is such a big game, such an important real-time strategy game, and such a personal favorite of mine. I really felt like we had to do it justice and give each race its own episode. So despite the fact that this is still part of my 1001 Games series, my regular series where I'm working through that book, we're going to take some time with this one and let StarCraft unfold naturally. So let's start off here in the Terran missions today. We're going to start on mission number 3 here. There's a couple of, the early missions in the StarCraft, in this first campaign here, are really just sort of introductory. So we're going to hop into level 3, mission 3, and I will update you guys as to the story at hand. Now, StarCraft I always thought was really cool because it has these sort of, I wouldn't even call these cutscenes, but they're mission briefings. And it has this very interesting layout where there's just sort of thumbnails of people's heads talking. It's like they're all talking on a futuristic version of Skype. There are occasional, actual rendered cutscenes for this game, but StarCraft came out at a point where gaming technology was limited and you couldn't necessarily fit cutscenes for, 30 some odd missions all onto the CD that this game came on. So I always thought they found a very interesting way to sort of convey the story. And one thing that any StarCraft fan will tell you is the story of StarCraft is actually pretty cool. It is a little hard to follow at times, just as stories in Halo or other big franchises, but it's kind of cool. So basically the backstory is this guy here is Arcturus Menks. He's kind of a rebel, and we are sort of the administrator of a colony that's under attack by these evil aliens called the Zerg. They're kind of like if the Xenomorphs from the Alien franchise mated with the bugs from Starship Troopers and created a race of super monsters. That's what the Zerg basically are. And the government is basically saying, screw you guys, we're not going to help you. So what are we going to do? We're going to turn to the rebels, because the rebels are offering to help us. So we're going to join the Rebel Alliance, guys. And spoilers, this guy turns out to be worse than the Empire. He turns out to be a very evil person. But we're going to join up with him for right now because we don't know all that. All we have to do in this mission is survive for 30 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and do this.
Hey, this thing's on fire. You ought to send an SCV out here to repair it. You can fix
So-
my backup.
This guy's giving me some orders that I need to repair that stuff right away. So here is our base. Here are the SCVs. These are kind of your workhorses. So they're first going to repair. This is a bunker, and you can actually, these are Marines, you can put them in the bunker, and now they can fire out of the bunker. If aliens come running down this way, the Marines will shoot them up. This is a Vulture. He's like a little hover bike or whatever. But here's our command center. So the game very much plays like Warcraft or Warcraft 1 or 2, if you're familiar with that. You sort of have these are basically your peons. They harvest your resources. In Warcraft it was gold, but in Starcraft it is these minerals. Oh, we had some aliens try and run up here, some Zergs, some evil Zergies, and we killed them. So these Marines are actually pretty powerful. They have miniguns, I guess it's called a Gauss rifle. They can do quite a bit of damage, and they can shoot on ground and enemies that are in the air. But one issue is that they're actually pretty vulnerable. So you do want to put them... So the thing with a bunker is just like a static defense. You throw your Marines in there, and they're protected, and everything's good. Now, in order to be good at this game, you have to basically be pumping out your peons. Or your SCVs here. You need nothing but workers. You want to be bringing in tons of money as quickly as you can. I'm actually going to pull these guys back because they're probably going to get killed out here. They'll get killed by like a Mutalisk or something, which is a flying Zerg unit, which is not very good. So I guess we're kind of in like we're like in a mini mall. Like, look, we're in like some kind of like weird burned out strip mall. Like that's like a diner or something like that. The graphics in this game are actually, I always remember them being really cool for their time. And everything just kind of has like a cool look and feel to it. Here's our barracks, or our academy, by the way, where we can upgrade our Marines. So we can give them more range. We can teach them stim pack ability, teach them how to use drugs, so that they can drug it up. Our base is under attack, and as soon as I scrolled over to it, it was over. This is an early mission. We'll send this SCV up here to repair. This is an early mission, so it's going to be a pretty easy one. But I just wanted to sort of have a light introductory mission to kind of show you guys the mechanics of StarCraft. So if you're familiar with things like Warcraft or whatever, this will look pretty familiar to you. I remember one thing that kind of blew my mind when I played this is like if you play Warcraft, all the units stand on like a grid. So like if you have a grunt here and you try to go over here, he like can't stand between grid points. He either has to stand at like, row 1 or row 2 or column 1 or column 2. But in StarCraft, the guys can all like mash up like they're real, like they can actually like touch each other. And I remember that kind of blowing my mind when I was a kid. Because like I played Warcraft, I played Command and Conquer. I'm going to build a refinery here. Here's the gas. So there's two main resources in StarCraft, gas and minerals. And, like what the F were these things? Nobody knew. They were just like things you needed. Things you needed to buy things. In Warcraft, things made a lot of sense. You had gold and wood. That kind of made sense, gold and lumber. And later on, there was oil in Warcraft 2. But in StarCraft, they're like, oh, here's minerals and gas. And you were like, okay, what are these things? It's like, I don't know. But you need it. You need it. Apparently, you need 50 minerals to train Marine. And you need 50 minerals plus 25 gas to train a Fire Bat, which is like a flamethrower dude. Which is really good against the melee Zergs. Anyway, yeah, I remember this game sort of blew my mind with the fact that you could like actually move your guys around like they were real guys, kind of out on the terrain. It seems trivial now because like all games do it, but like back in the day, man, we had to invent these things in my day. We did not have all these like free physics engines and stuff like that. Well, there's some aliens. We keep just seeing aliens, the Zerg, as they like explode into little blood splatters. So we're going to try and actually, what we're going to do here. So in this mission, you're supposed to basically just survive. We're going to build some supply depots. These are basically like the farms so that we can build more guys. We're going to add on here a ComStat station so we can scan and see what the Zerg are up to. This is like our satellite view. But basically you're just supposed to sort of survive in here and not die. But I feel like I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like we're good enough that we're going to be able to create a little expeditionary force and go out and take the war to the Zergs. I think that would be more fun than just hang back here the whole time. Certain Terran buildings can lift up and fly. It's kind of weird, I don't know, but I'm kind of used to it. And so I just moved my barracks there. What, you never seen a building fly from one end of a military base to the other? You have, I don't know who you are, you haven't lived. So here's our Comstat station. We can look out here and say, I wonder what the Zerg are up to. Those filthy, stinking Zergs. Oh, and I don't have enough energy. Okay, soon we'll have enough energy. This is like mana or whatever that's regenerating. When I have 75, we can scan. I could be doing a better effort at micromanaging my base and stuff, but... Oh, here, finally some Zerg! Yes, these are Hydralisks. I love when they explode. There's such a satisfying sort of blah when they like explode all over the place. I mean, the Zerg are cheap and weak, but the one thing about them is they explode really well. So here's a Zerg base. As you can see, there's sort of like weird bugs. And there's burrowed Zerglings, so the Zerg can burrow underground. And normally you can't see them, but because I scanned, it revealed them. My scan is called a detector, and detectors can see cloaked units. And so Zerg can burrow. There's other races and other units we'll encounter that have other abilities. Let's start upgrading some of this stuff. So they can do more than just burrow. There's actual cloaking devices and stuff like that. The Terrans here have what are called a ghost, which is like a commando that has psionic training and that can like stealth and stuff like that. So there's lots of really cool units and strategy in StarCraft. We're going to be seeing quite a bit of that. So let's see here. What I should do... I feel like I have a good amount of SCVs here doing stuff. Let's build another bunker or two at each of these entrances as defense. And then we will go ahead and I'm going to build a turret. Let's see, I'll build one right there, I think. Just to sort of protect against air units. Maybe I'll build one right there too. Okay, so my plan is to build up an expeditionary force, but before I do so, I'm going to leave some defenses behind to make sure that my base does not get overrun. And I'm kind of low on money right now because I've been blowing it all on upgrades and stuff, but it's okay. Trust me, guys, it's gonna be okay. I'm a master of finances. I mean, real-time strategy games are really like taking that SimCitter mayor inside of you and adding on the capacity for war. It's like if a mayor of SimCity sort of lost it one day, it was like, I'm just gonna go ape on everybody. That's basically what being a real-time strategy general is like. Okay. So, there's some Mutalisks. Those are the air-flying units. Don't worry, we got them. It's all under control. The good thing about the Marines are really the go-to unit for the Terrans. They basically just sort of handle everything. They can shoot air, they can shoot land. They got it all under control is what I'm saying. That bunker's damaged a bit. Terran buildings, if they get damaged too much, they'll start to like light on fire, and you'll have to repair them or else they'll decay. Here's another trick. Rather than having one barracks where you just queue up a bunch of guys, if you queue stuff up, that money's just sitting there waiting until a guy is built. It's better to have multiple barracks, each building one at a time, because you'll build guys way faster. So I can pump guys out 3 at a time, as opposed to if I had one barracks and I queued up 3 guys, it would cost the same amount of money, but I'd build at 1/3 the rate. So if you are going to play this game, there's 2 keys to playing it. One is go out of your way to collect as many resources as you can as fast as you can. Like, I'm not even doing that great a job. See how far these guys have to go to get back to the command center? I should build a command center like somewhere over here. I can't afford one right now. I'm just showing you placement with the barracks. But if I can afford one at some point, I will do that. And the other key is to have multiple production buildings so that you can be producing lots of stuff at once. We're going to go ahead and... Oh, look at all these Zerg! Man, they're like lambs to the slaughter. Okay, we're going to take one of these guys. We're going to queue up a bunch of repairs, and then we're going to send them back to work. Okay, let's see here. Okay, what else do we have to upgrade? We'll teach them how to use drugs, because in my army, if you're going to kill Zergs, you might as well be high while you do it. That's my general's credo there. We will upgrade their armor, too, because why not? If we're going to send these guys off to war, why not help them live a little longer? And let's go ahead and we'll have 2 full teams of Marines, I think is the goal. Or 2-ish full teams. And we'll start throwing in some fire bats in a little bit. But let's focus on the Marines and my supply. So this is how many units I can actually build. I guess I don't have enough food to feed my army, so I'll have to build a supply depot. Okay, once these 3 guys are done, I think we have enough. We're going to go take the fight to the Zerg and see what we can find. So we're on the Marasara colony, or the Marsara. Marsara. It's a hard word to say.
Research complete.
Got all these guys. Good, good, good. I think they just learned how to use drugs. So the stim packs are kind of cool. We'll take off 10% of their health, so they'll go down to 30 health, but they'll start firing at twice the rate. So it's actually pretty effective if you're like in combat to just take the 25% damage, but then like unleash on the enemy and just like tear them to pieces. Okay, so we're gonna go out this way, and we're gonna try and make it over to this enemy base and see what kind of havoc we can cause. I'm just scanning here. So there are some like hidden Zergs. That's a Zerg Hydralisk. See, look at it. It's evil. It's just waiting to pounce on us. So we're going to go here. Now, the pathfinding in this game is actually like not great. And you'll see they all kind of like end up going in like a single line. It's like a conga line of like dudes. It's kind of funny. So apparently StarCraft here went through a lot of different phases of development. And by the way, this purple crap is Zerg creep. Zerg can only build on the creep. Terrans can build wherever they want. So each of the 3 races, we're going to stim some of these guys. Each of the 3 races sort of has different pros and cons. And as I said, the interesting, oh, we're just annihilating them. Look how good the Marines are. Oh, we just wrecked them. Those are all basic Zerg units, but you see how effective Marines can be. Yeah, the 3 different races, they're balanced in very interesting ways. Oh, we can build another command center. Let's do it. And it's not just basically like in Warcraft, the humans and orcs are pretty similar. It's that they had some minor differences in spells and stuff, but they were, other than that, like almost virtually identical. These guys are not going to last. Our missile turrets are too good. But I kind of lost my train of thought there. I'm sure it will come back to me. But anyway, these Marines, they're battle-hardened. They're going to slaughter these dudes. Okay, keep this stuff going on. We need more supply depots. That's going to be done in a second. We're going to make this guy build another supply depot when he's done. And we're going to keep the Marine train going. Now we'll queue up some guys. Ooh. Okay, here we go. These guys are going to stim and go in. That's the key, man. Stim and go in. Oh, no, 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 no. Don't fight that thing solo. It will kill you. Oh, we're just wrecking them. I love watching Zergs explode. Like their buildings and them. It's so satisfying. But anyway, StarCraft here went through a number of phases of development. When it was first revealed in 1996, I believe, it was using a modified Warcraft 2 engine, and it honestly looked like crap. People said it basically just looked like a reskinned Warcraft 2. It was Warcraft in space, essentially, is what people said about it. And that was a completely fair criticism. I've seen old screenshots of the StarCraft Alpha. It didn't look good. It kind of looked boring, honestly. And actually, what's interesting is after that, personally, I was never really interested in StarCraft when it was in the development phase because Warcraft was never my favorite real-time strategy game. I was more into the Command and Conquer, where each side had very different units and different abilities and stuff. Oh, we just wiped out a whole Zerg colony. That's awesome. These Marines, man. Semper Fi, or whatever Marines say. But then, based on that sort of bad early feedback, Blizzard went back and said, you know what? We can't do this. Like, one thing about Blizzard is that they will not release a bad game. They've canceled more games that other developers would have released than they have released, if that makes sense. Basically what I'm saying is, like, whereas most developers would say good enough is good enough, Blizzard basically says excellent or nothing. So they scrapped their work on StarCraft and kind of restarted. They didn't completely reboot, but they completely revamped things to try to address all the criticisms, and they rebuilt the Warcraft 2 engine. Oh, I think I accidentally ordered an execution of one of my own men there. I don't know if you guys caught it. My hotkeys are going too fast. Man, have we just wiped out the whole map? Because that was pretty easy. I remember when I was younger, this level, you'd say like bunkered in your base, just like hoping that you would survive, but this seems like trivially easy. But anyway, so they went back, revamped the Warcraft engine, and they came up with something far better, which is the StarCraft that you see here today. The game didn't end up coming out until 1998, so it took 3 more years, or 2.5 or 3 more years for them to do all this revamping. But I definitely think it was worth it, because the game they ultimately produced, I mean, set the standard for having 3 different races. I mean, you know, you look at Warcraft 1 and 2 these days, and oh, look at all these. So these are their overlords. They're completely defenseless, and we're going to slaughter them all. These are like the big daddies of the Zerg. They just hang around and supervise things, and we're going to supervise their execution. Down you go, evil overlord dudes. But StarCraft here really set the standard for having 3 different races that all have different abilities, because like the Zerg and the Protoss and the Terrans here, they're all so different. They're all so different, and they're all balanced, which is what's really cool. You know, in Warcraft, it was like the Orcs and Humans, they were essentially the same. There were some minor differences between the sides, but essentially there was a Footman and a Grunt, and they were equivalent. There was like a Knight and a Raider, and they were equivalent. You know, like there was an equivalent unit on every side. Like, there is no equivalent to a Marine in the Zerg. I mean, the Hydralisk kind of, but it's not quite the same. There's no equivalent to like a Zergling in the Terrans. You know, each race kind of has some roughly equivalent units. Like the Terrans have a Firebat, the Zergs have a Zergling, and the Protoss have a Zealot. And those are all like the basic sort of melee units, but they play very differently. The Zealots are like these big, tough tanks. The Firebats are like area of effect units that are fairly well armored. And then the Zerglings are cheap. They spawn in pairs. Look at all these Marines just hanging back. There's like no mission for them to carry out. But the Zerglings are super cheap and super numerous, but in large numbers they can like wreck you. So it's a very interesting sort of mix of different strategies. Anyway, we have 5 minutes left. I guess we've wiped out the map of most of the Zerg. We can just sort of chill back, and there's like a few Zerg buildings hanging around. We can like scan the area. There's like a crash ship or something. So yeah, so StarCraft, Blizzard really honed this into something special, I would say. And it's really interesting. When the game came out, it's like, it blew my mind, and I was like, oh my god, how was I not anticipating this game? It literally became one of the games that stole most of my after schools when I was in high school. Me and my friend would meet up online on Battle.net after school, and we would play online matches. We'd play against each other, we'd play against randoms, we'd play like ranked matches or just for funs. On Battle.net, basically you earned a ranking based on how many wins you got. And so there were some people who would create matches just to beat a computer player so that they could get higher ranks. They would call it comp stomps. So people would open up a match to anyone and say 7 versus 1 comp stomp, join, you know, super quick. And the idea is everyone was just going to build up their forces as fast as possible and rush the one computer. They would all be allied up. And once the computer was dead, because everyone else was allied up, the match would end and everyone would get points. And me and my friend would actually join these matches, and we would share our vision with the other players, but we wouldn't actually ally up. So from their perspective, it seemed like we were allies, but we actually weren't. And they would all rush the computer and wipe out the computer, and then the game wouldn't end. And everyone would say, somebody's not allied up. Who is it? And everyone would start accusing each other of not being the allies. And other people would deny it and stuff, and then people would start getting into fights, and people would like unally with each other and like attack each other and stuff like that. So it was just like chaos. It was like this paranoid chaos of everyone accusing everyone else of being like the rat, but it was really us. And sometimes people would figure out it was us, but we would have, in the time that they were building up to attack the computer, we would have bunkered down huge forces and built up huge armies, and none of them would be prepared for like the prolonged combat that we were anticipating, because they were just anticipating a fast game. So people did really crappy jobs of building up their bases and their tech, and their infrastructure wasn't ready for a prolonged conflict. So it's like, it was actually like 2 of us versus like 5 newbies, and it was frequently awesome, because it was like, it was just so cool to take on like 5 people at once. Admittedly, they weren't ready, and we were kind of like being jerks, but it was awesome to sort of have that fight. And we frequently won because, you know, we were anticipating the fight, but it was just sort of a really funny experience, a really funny sort of online, early internet trolling experience. And sometimes they would actually figure out it was us who were sort of the trolls, and they would very quickly all ally together against us. But frequently there'd be one player who'd forget to unshare his vision. So while they are busy, building up forces against us, we can see everything they're doing because one of their players is still sharing his vision with us. It was tremendous. Oh man, these memories of like early internet sort of trolley experiences. They're just awesome. Anyway, we have 15 seconds left before the Sons of Korhal come and save us. I feel like we don't look like we need saving. We have a pretty formidable force. I'm curious to see what happens here. Like, it's not like we're in any trouble or anything like that. So they're the Sons of Korhal, Menksk's forces, and they have shown up to save our sorry butts. And that's it, victory. Now, if we had not gone out and wiped out the Zerg colony, then I'm pretty sure they like rush you with units at the very end. But we were just producing way too many units too fast. The computer couldn't even keep up. So here's us. We got 27,000 unit points, 6,000 structure points. They got a lot more resources than us, but it didn't matter in the end. You can look at killed. We killed 151 of them and only lost 13 Marines. They only killed 12. So yes, I did execute one of my own men. There was a traitor in the midst. He had shared his vision, but not technically allied, so we had to kill him. And off we are to the next mission here. So in this mission, this is actually kind of a cool mission. So we just saw like a base building kind of mission, and that was arguably a tutorial mission. So we're going to play this next mission here, but then we're going to jump forward. Now here's Jim Raynor. He's kind of like the main human character, and he is totally an awesome dude. He's kind of like a Han Solo-ish type character, so if you do play the game and you pay attention to all the different characters, you'll probably come to love Jim Raynor. He is totally awesome. And what we're going to do here is, in this mission, it is not a base building mission. It's actually sort of like an RPG-ish level exploration mission. You'll see what I mean. But I always loved that Starcraft, and even back in the days of the first Warcraft, they did this. They really mixed it up. They didn't just give you base building missions. They really gave you missions that had sort of much more interesting gameplay. And I really love that about Starcraft. So we're going to go ahead and start here. We're basically infiltrating this the Jacobs installation, and we're trying to steal some technology. So here's Jim Raynor. He's like an upgraded Marine. He does a lot more damage than the regular Marines. Here's a regular Marine for reference. He only does 6 plus 3 damage per shot. Jim here does 18 plus 3, so 21. So he's like 3 times as good almost. Here are the fire bats, which I forgot to produce last mission. That's okay. So we're going to separate our squadrons into 2 groups. We're going to have the ranged units and the melee units. And we're going to go ahead and explore. So this is what I mean when I say this game also had maps that allowed you to basically sort of have RPGs and stuff. So if you did go online, you didn't always have to play competitively with other players. There were also things called use map settings maps, which are basically maps like this, like story maps, or maps that have special gameplay. So they had things like soccer and football and like zone control type maps and things like that. Oh, we're just straight up slaughtering civilians here. These are like defenseless civilians. Okay, well I guess I've just straight up crossed the line into murderer. We're not saving anyone there. Those guys are minding their own business. But you know, I have a lot of fun memories of not only playing online competitively and like trolling the newbies with the comp stomps and stuff, but also playing like RPGs or playing like, you know, sort of risk-style strategy games in StarCraft. It's just so cool that the engine could handle that. And basically the reason you could have that is the online game engine, or not the online, but the StarCraft game engine had like a scripting language kind of built into it. And the scripting language allowed you to add all sorts of custom triggers and stuff like that. We're going to send these fire bats up first. So another thing about StarCraft is you can't see up sort of mountains or cliffs unless you actually go up a cliff. So line of sight actually matters in StarCraft, which is kind of interesting. And also the guys, they really do, the pathfinding in this game is actually horrible. I will say it. I'm used to it because it's like I've played it so much, but it's like very quirky. And I remember reading something that, you know, because StarCraft had to be sort of essentially redesigned after 1996 and totally revamped, they had to, like, look, that guy's gotten lost right there. Like, the pathfinding's not great. I will admit it. Despite loving this game, the pathfinding's kind of weird. It's, like, charming in a weird way, again, because I'm used to it. But basically, because they scrapped the game and had to remake it, it's like they didn't have time to, like, properly fix the pathfinding. So apparently the pathfinding in this game is very hacky. There's all sorts of like hacks to like make it work, and that's why it kind of behaves really weirdly. Oddly enough, or not, perhaps not oddly enough, but interestingly enough, when they read it, oh, looks like something bad's going on in here. Look at this. when they redesigned this game for the 2017 4K re-release, they actually didn't change any part of the gameplay because the gameplay is considered so tight and timeless that they didn't want to mess with that. So the graphics are upgraded, but they even brought in like Korean pros to help them make sure they kept the gameplay the same. And this game, by the way, is still played in Korea, I'm pretty sure. Not to the same scale it was back in the day, but this was like one of the first esports games, and yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it still has like an active community. So it's, I mean, why wouldn't it? You know, you imagine like if you do invent like some kind of game that's sort of like a timeless strategy game like checkers. Like people will be playing checkers or chess forever, you know? Like Starcraft, maybe Starcraft is just the next checkers. Or chess. I guess it's way more complicated than checkers. It's like real-time. It's like if you had to play chess in real time, and the faster you clicked on pieces, the better you did. That's basically what Starcraft is. Let's make these guys all one big group, just so we can move them along faster. So we've been exploring the Jacobs installation here, killing a bunch of Terrans. We haven't seen too many Zergs yet. As we get further into this level, I'm sure we're going to start encountering Zergs. See how they all start traveling in one long conga line, though? That is just what they do in StarCraft. So here's a beacon. I suspect this may teleport us somewhere. So let's see. We're all going to go in this together. There we go. Boom. We all teleported over here. And there's more civilians! Boy, you guys picked the wrong random place of space to hang out. Oh, one Marine versus one Firebat. Firebat takes him down. So in StarCraft, the melee units are often really powerful. But the trick is that, like, if you have enough ranged units, you can keep the melee units at bay. These guys got all confused. Yeah, this teleporting stuff, I feel like does not work great in StarCraft. All right, there we go. Okay, let's do this, whatever this is.
Cameras activated.
Security cameras activated. Okay. What is our mission objective, by the way? Retrieve the data disk from the Confederate network, and Raynor must survive. Alright, so we got some enemy Firebats over there. Look at these guys. They look freaking nuts, man. And, like, literally behind their portrait is just fire. These guys, like, dream of fire. They're like the anti-firemen. Alright, everyone get in. You too, you straggler. Alright, let's get everyone away from the teleporting pad before we do this. Look at them trying to go down the stairs. They're getting... What? Where are they going? Where are you going? Come down the stairs. My God. It's funny, like, again, I'm used to it, I'm expecting it, but if you've never seen StarCraft, you're probably looking at this being like, man, the pathfinding kind of sucks, look at it. Look, they all travel like a little line. This is definitely something that in StarCraft 2 they really fixed. Like, StarCraft 2 is really good pathfinding, actually. They don't do this, but I don't know, you just, it was something at the time you're just like, meh. You know, like back in 1998, you know, games had problems occasionally, but you just dealt with it. Like, it wasn't that big a deal. It doesn't take away from the fun of the game, necessarily. I mean, it can, if you're not expecting it, it can really screw up, like, an attack. Because you try to, like, send your army off into a territory, and they get, like, separated, and there's, like, stragglers wandering around, stuff like that. Sorry, let's go slaughter these dudes here. They're protecting this beacon, and I won't have it. Not my beacon. Not on my space station. See what this does. Automatic system defenses deactivated. That is what I like to hear. What is over here? Another thing. Okay, let's try and work our way up here. So we got going on. So Raynor is one of the main characters. We're also going to meet another main character in the next mission, which will be Sarah Kerrigan, who's another big character in StarCraft. And we'll get to meet her and see what things are like for her. And we will be seeing her more in the later videos as well. This door is locked. What are these things? Can we kill one? Boom! We just killed a thing! Those are actually like defenseless, like zoo animals. That guy did not stand a chance at all.
You rebel scum.
I mean, we technically are rebel scum. I'm not gonna deny it. Okay, so all the weird animals got let out. This is actually something from back in the Warcraft days. Critters. So there were like sheep and stuff like that that were just hanging around Warcraft maps. In StarCraft, actually, oh, these are Zerglings. There's some Zerglings here. In StarCraft, you can actually use these critters. The Zerg have the ability to latch a parasite onto any unit, and then they get the vision of that unit. And
I don't believe this.
Believe it. I saw Zerg within Confederate holding pens myself, and that was over a year ago.
they're experimenting on Zergs. That's not good. That's yet another reason to hate the government. But you can latch parasites onto units and share their vision, and so you can latch it onto these critters, and they're kind of neutral, and most players will ignore them, but if they're wandering around in your base, and you don't, like, click on them to look, then you may not realize, but they're infested, and they're feeding intel back to the Zerg about what's happening in your base. So, yeah, there's actually a strategic value to critters in this game, which is kind of cool. By the way, something else that all the Starcraft games allowed you to do in Warcraft was to click on units repeatedly and hear them say funny things. So, like, if you click on Jim Raynor here for a bit, he'll start to get, like, pissed off at you.
Raynor here. Hey, quit it. What's your problem, man? Look, Commander, do you mind? I knew I should have stayed in bed this morning. This is Jimmy.
I definitely remember experimenting. Like, every unit will say different things, so it's kind of fun to go in and, like, just click on every unit and see what they're saying. Actually, Kerrigan is funny to click on. We'll have to remember when we get her in the next mission to go ahead and click to our heart's content. So I'm pretty sure we're kind of... Wait, which way do we want to go? This way, I think. I'm going to go up this way. Should be rounding... Wait, how do we get in there? There must be like another teleport or something. I'm just gonna trust in the hallway, trust in the design of the space station that we're going the right way. All right, everyone down the stairs. Jim. Let's see where he goes. Where does pathfinding tell him he should go? Way over there for some weird reason. It's like, you know what? If the stairs are blocked, come right to this point. That's the key to getting through a stairway. Okay, let's see what's up here. Oh, there's a trap. It's kind of cool. They're like these like weird traps like in the walls for like scattered around the base. This looks like a teleporter, transport pad or something. Oh, somebody just teleported by accident. Get in there, save them. Oh man. Yeah, so there's like booby-trapped guns like hidden in the floor and stuff. Like, it's so neat. It's neat that they kind of thought about that kind of stuff. Oh, we lost a guy. We lost a guy. Kind of wanted to do this mission without ever losing someone. Oh, but there's like a missile in the floor there. Interesting. Okay, let's just forget about fighting the floor missiles, guys. We got a mission. We already lost Terrence. Terry will never be forgotten. Scary Terry. He was that Marine that we lost. And here we go. I'm pretty sure this is where we can slaughter all the remaining scientists, and then we'll go back for the floor thing. Oh, that's a ghost. So they're kind of like Terran special ops. They're like snipers or whatever. Oh, God. If that firebat got up and like blowtorched our guys, it would have definitely killed this guy who's in the red. He would not have survived that. Okay, here we go, here we go. You know what? Get on this pad. See what it does. Accessing Confederate network, downloading files. You like that awesome cutscene? File transfer complete. Hey, look, there's the files. And we're victorious! There we go, we completed our first story mission in StarCraft here. Let's see how we did it. We definitely lost a few people. The Jormungand Brood. The Zerg always have such cool names. Zerg was definitely one of my favorite races. I mean, Zerg was my favorite. It was Zerg, Terran, then Protoss was last. Okay, so I lost 2 units, and they killed 2 units. One for... Oh, wait, not 1 for 1, because it means the same thing. If I lost 2 and they killed 2... That just means they got 2 of my guys. In the wake of the chaos resulting from the Zerg invasion, the Sons of Korhal escaped with the stolen data disks. Fleeing to the border colony of Antigua Prime, Arcturus' group now plans its next crucial move against the Confederacy. 13 hours after the evacuation of Marsar, Protoss warships took up orbit around the colony and unleashed a massive planetary bombardment. All life upon the surface was extinguished. Yeah, so the Protoss are going around just exterminating the Zerg wherever they land. It's kind of like how the Covenant wipe out the Flood in Halo. Anyway, rather than playing the next mission here, we're actually going to go ahead and skip out, and we're going to jump ahead to mission number 7, the Trump Card. So we've jumped forward a couple missions. What a crazy looking base too, by the way. Like, that's the Sons of Korhal base. So basically, we have something called a psi emitter, which has the capacity to lure Zerg to it. And the Confederacy, the government, was using the psi emitter to basically control the Zerg. But now we're going to use it against them. So we have Jim Raynor on the left, we have Sarah Kerrigan in the top left, the evil Arcturus Minx in the top right, and some weird human hybrid robot thing on the far right. I've never quite known what this thing is. It's just like when you click on your command center, you see it. They're like weird kind of like Ghost in the Shell humanoid AI things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do this. Again, if you're interested in the story, I highly recommend checking Starcraft out. But here's Sarah Kerrigan. She is a ghost. She has the power to cloak just like a predator, and she can fire while cloaked. So if an enemy cloaked unit shows up in your base and starts firing, the only way to actually sort of hurt them is with a detector. So see, I can attack this guy with impunity. There's nothing that he can do. In fact, I can even lock him down because I have ghost powers, and now he's like straight up stuck. So Sarah Kerrigan here is just going to go ahead. Oh, and see, line of sight. That guy went behind the pole and I couldn't see him. So, oh my god, they're killing everything here. Run, 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 run! And repair! Oh my god, we're totally going to lose that. We did not need to lose that. Can you kill this guy, Sarah? Please? Let's actually try and save this thing. Fly it over here. So here's a psi emitter. We need to bring the psi emitter into the enemy base to basically... Well, let's kill this guy too. Being a stealth sniper is actually pretty handy. Here we go. Alright. Well, we can't have her linger around up here. She's gonna die. Wait, what is happening down here? I have all these bases that are under attack, not even paying attention. Okay, priorities, guys. We have to hear what Sarah says when we click on her.
I'm ready. Lieutenant Kerrigan reporting. I'm ready. Easily amused, huh? Doesn't take a telepath to know what you're thinking. You get off on annoying people, don't you?
You get off on annoying people? I'm getting shot by a stealth ship.
But I've got a job to do.
She's got a job to do. Anything else? Okay, I'm pretty sure this is so bad. Oh man, we almost lost Kerrigan there so stupidly. Okay, we could reset the game, but I'm confident in our abilities. We've been mucking around. Let's just get this show on the road. It's okay that Sarah Kerrigan almost died. We're gonna be just fine, trust me. She's at half health. We're playing this game on hard mode is what we're doing. Okay, so let's evaluate our base here. We have a bunker there. Throw these dudes. Let's throw these dudes in the bunker too. Keep our production up. A key to StarCraft is being able to multitask. So guys can come in our base here. They can come in here, and they might be able to come in through the back too. So let's send these guys over here. This is a science vessel. It can detect cloaked units, and it can also sort of cast things. Defense Matrix gives the unit like 400 health. So it's good to cast on the unit that's being attacked to kind of suck up all the damage so that it doesn't take damage. We're going to go ahead and upgrade this. So one of the big things in the Terran army, we've already seen the Marines in action, but another big thing are tanks. Tanks make up the core of the Terran army. And what's kind of interesting or weird about StarCraft is the tanks are really weak. So in most games, the tanks are like the strong things, right? Like a tank in an RPG is the character who takes all the damage. The tank, right? Like that's just what a tank is. But in StarCraft, the tanks are kind of more like artillery pieces. They're not very tough, but they do an insane amount. Oh god. Kerrigan, don't die. No, kill him. Kill him! Oh my god. Okay, let's do this. Build a bunker. And we're going to put Kerrigan in that bunker because we do not want her to die. But in most games, the tank is a tough thing. But in StarCraft, they're really weak, but they do an insane amount of damage. But only when they're in siege mode here, which I'm researching. So basically, the tank is mobile. But if you want it to do a lot of damage, it goes into siege mode. Then it becomes immobile. But now it has an insane range, and it does splash damage and like a lot of damage just to begin with, and it basically becomes like a big behemoth. So you definitely want to make sure to research siege mode when it comes to your tanks here. And let's actually go ahead and build a tank or two, because why not? We have the money and the technology. And let's explore a little bit with our science vessel here. I mean, that's what they're for. Exploration. Let's bunker guys up here. Wait, who's... Oh, Jesus. Okay, we're under attack by a stealth unit. But we do have a science vessel. So there it is. Now it sees the Wraith is what that's called. We got it. Oh, and our first tank was produced. Let's repair that. Okay, so here's our tank. So doesn't do much damage as is, but we go into siege mode. See, and it kind of like props itself up, and now it's like immobile, but it does a lot of damage, and it does splash damage too. So if a bunch of units are running into your base, you can just annihilate all of them. Okay, so let's continue doing this here. We're gonna build an engineering base so that we can build missile turrets. And our plan is basically just going to be what it was last time, which is build up a lot of forces and then kind of rush the enemy. Maybe we'll try and get some tanks in the mix so you guys can sort of see them in action. And while we're doing that, let's go ahead and explore with our science vessel here. Looks like the scientist there like upgraded his face and his neck with cybernetics here. So what do we got going on over here? So this is kind of an island we might want to liberate sooner rather than later. Because, so there's another tank. They can't shoot the air, so we're totally safe. So it looks like, oh god. Flee. Looks like there's a few units there, but like nothing too bad. So we could like conceivably go and like take that island over. And as I said, one of the keys to Starcraft is having lots of resources. Money is what makes the world go round, guys. So what we should work towards doing is... Oh, damn it, I had an engineering bay. What? Why didn't I just check? Oh, well, let's just... Might as well double upgrade our units to make use of it. Boy, what a waste of money. Okay. So we're going to build this. So we need kind of a mixed force of Marines and tanks, and I think we can easily take that island. Although tank-on-tank fights are usually pretty tricky. It's kind of like positioning and repositioning. It's like cat versus mouse, cat versus also cat. Let's build another barracks, get this production up and running. We could go for air units, but... The Terran air units, the default ones, are not that great. They have like a battleship that is amazing, but we are not far enough in the game to have access to that, so sorry to get your hopes up, but you ain't seeing that in this video. Maybe we'll see it in a future video. We'll continue here with the tanks. Alrighty, we've successfully built up a little contingent here of Marines and tanks. Let's go ahead and actually make this attack happen. So I'm going to bring my science vessel over to kind of spot the high ground. Make sure that I know where the enemies are. Let's see here real quick. Nobody's over here, so that's safe. Is there anything? Okay, there's one tank there. Okay. So all the dudes are going to come here, and the tanks are going to come here. Here we go. Oh, we have one more tank. One more tank to join. Okay, and so here, watch. We can bring our tanks up like this. And bring this in. No. Damn it! Go into siege mode! Siege mode, you idiots! It's like a bunch of knuckleheads. It's like the Three Stooges. There we go. They destroyed that other tank with like absolutely no effort. Okay, go in here, siege mode up. Wait, why didn't you siege mode? Listen to me when I give you an order. Don't just take it as a recommendation. A strong recommendation. Okay, let's spot over here, bring these guys over. So the tanks are vulnerable when you take them in and out of siege mode, which sort of adds to this element of, boom. Oh, look at them. They're just decimating those dudes. Those guys got one shot in. And there goes that mech. Yeah, the tanks are pretty awesome. There were a lot of like fun little cheap tactics you could do with oh, there's a base over there. A lot of fun little cheap tactics you could do with tanks where you in multiplayer matches you could like land them on a ledge behind the enemy's resource line and just eliminate all of their workers before they could really like do anything. It's actually pretty sweet. But okay, we have successfully taken command of the resource field down here. So we're going to go ahead and build us a base because we need more money. There's nothing we want in this world more than money. And you know what we're going to do? We are going to go ahead and build a science station. We'll just build it over there. Sure, why not? Because we want to have the ability to build more science vessels. I mean, this one could be repaired. It's actually doing just fine. But having more science vessels can be a handy thing. So resources are running out there. That's okay. Because we got more money over here. Everything's going to be just fine. So you got to remember to be upgrading your units too as we go. So I haven't been upgrading the Marines at all. The Marines are really just purely a defensive unit at this point. So let's see what we got going on over here. So that is actually a base. We could challenge the computer for that actually. Maybe we will in a moment here. In a long moment here. Uh-oh. Get over here, quick. Oh, they're dead already. The tanks, you did nothing. They're just hanging around doing nothing. Okay, repair this. Then come back over here. You build a supply depot and then come back. I kind of use shortcuts in this game just instinctively, but definitely to be good at this game, you have to be using shortcuts. If you're not using shortcuts, you will not be able to react fast enough. So, Shockwave, Irradiate. So the Emp Shockwave is interesting. It drains all the mana from any units it hits. So it's like it can drain the mana away from ghosts and stuff like that. And then it would forcibly decloak them. Same with Wraiths. If there are other spellcasters, like other science vessels, or like the Protoss Templars or whatever, you can drain all their energy and make them basically worthless units. There's a lot of tactics to this game. A lot of tactics, I will say. I mean, that's why Starcraft is beloved by so many. Our Vespene Geyser here has tons of gas, so we're definitely not in any short supply of gas. I guess in StarCraft, gas gets used for the more advanced units, and we're going for like a tank soldier strategy here. So I think we're just fine in terms of our current reserves. Let's go ahead and repair these guys up. And then we're going to launch our second expeditionary force. We're going to come in here, I think. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to wipe out this enemy base. So basically we got to fight our way over here. Sarah Kerrigan is holding the flank, keeping it nice and safe. We're going to wipe out the enemy supply structure here. They don't seem to be really aggressive at all. So there isn't much need to like really be too careful, but see how this goes. So here we go, guys. 1 and 2. Oh, and 5, get over here. 2, get into siege mode. Kill the wraiths. There we go. Oh, identify this guy. Somebody's shooting us. So the Marines actually held up pretty well there. Now here's the fun part. When you've pretty much wiped out all enemy forces, you just bring your tanks here. Siege mode. Oh, we're going to lose one. That's okay. Oh, we might lose another one. Maybe I should like try and bring this guy off the front lines. No, we lost him. Oh, well, that's okay. Once you kind of get entrenched in, turtled in, it's really hard for them to do anything. They're just like dying. As soon as my tanks have their volley ready. Oh, jeez. Oh, well, whatever. We can rebuild our losses. The thing is with us, we have high production capacity. So we've lost 3 tanks so far. I'll take it. 3 tanks and a lot of face, I guess. Because we have brought shame to our family in this battle. This was, I would say, at most, this is like mildly successful. Wouldn't rank this too high on the old success scale, though. Alright, so let's bring these tanks forward and really start some stuff. Get over here, get over here, get over here. Everybody get over here! Siege mode! Quick, 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 quick! Destroy them all. So in the later Terran levels, actually, like right now, I don't think the computer has siege mode, so it's actually not too bad. But in the later Terran levels, like, things get pretty tricky because the enemy establishes siege lines of its own, and you're trying to establish siege lines, and, like, it's a whole thing of, like, cat and mouse. If you can get up close, so the siege tanks, if I was standing right beside this siege tank, it couldn't shoot me. So they actually can't shoot stuff right near them. So melee units are actually super effective against siege tanks if you can get in range. If you can get in range. If you can't get in range, it's a whole other thing. Did we have any stuff over here? Okay, these guys are just busy working away. Let's just queue up a bunch of stuff because we have so much money. So basically if we lose this entire force, we're not actually that worried about it. Just clear their base out. Alright. Let's do this. We're gonna go in and try and capture this thing. Let's try and leave the tanks like outside of siege mode and like see how effective they are. I know they're like way more effective in siege mode, but I think I kind of overestimated. They're not terrible. They fire faster and they do 30 points of damage as opposed to 70, but they just don't have area of effect. Oh god. There is the Terran battleship I told you about. Flee! Flee! Okay. We need all these guys down here to meet them. Yeah, the battleship could literally hurt a lot. Okay, we've lost every single Marine. Nobody came back with us on that one. Oh, crap. There we go. Just in time, reinforcements. Let's grab some of these guys and repair our tanks. Always good to keep your tanks in tip-top shape. I wonder what the word is on the street as far as me as a commander. If people are like, yeah, he's good to work under, laid-back guy, you know, friendly, cares about you. Or if they're like, it's a death trap. They're like, transfer the hell out of there, because he will get you killed. He'll get you killed. Trust me, as long as they're training more troops in the barracks. Or growing them, or whatever they do in here. What happens in here that trains the troops, I wonder? Just, I guess we'll never know. Lights glow. Whatever they're doing, it causes the electricity to fluctuate, because lights glow when people are being trained. I think we could just roll in like this. I'm gonna try this. Let's try not even bothering with siege mode. Like, we're gonna A-move our way in. Do you guys know what A-move is? So in StarCraft, if you right-click somewhere, your guys will move, and if enemies show up in the meantime and start shooting at them, your guys will keep walking past the enemies till they hit the place you told them to move to. But if instead of right-clicking, you select them all, and then you press A, and then you click where you want them to move, they're not gonna attack that piece of ground. They'll do what's called an A-move, where they'll move towards that position, but if they encounter anything along the way, they'll start fighting back. So often in this game, you want to use a move. That's what I did right there, and now these two groups of soldiers will walk into combat, and if they encounter anyone along the way, they're going to fight them like they're doing right now. So a move is what you want to be doing. Let's try and defensive matrix one of these dudes. There we go. You'll never kill him! He has the power of 1,000 sciences! Let's try and, like, wipe this thing out. The Terran battle cruiser. These things are actually awesome when you get, like, a whole army of them. You can create, like, 24, like a huge Doom fleet, and, like, it's actually pretty awesome. Okay. We have successfully fought our way to the beacon. Time to lure the Zerg to finish the job. And just for funsies, let's go ahead and siege up all our tanks right in the middle of their base. This is gonna really screw with them. Kablam! It was less exciting than it seemed. Okay, well, whatever. These buildings are gonna go down in no time. Siege mode is cool, believe it or not. It also extends the range of the tanks. So, oh, that guy, where did he come from? Interesting.
Emitter in place.
All right.
Just promise me we'll never do anything like this again.
We will do whatever it takes to save humanity. Our
Thanks.
responsibility is too great to do any less.
He does not compromise, guys. Well, we did it! We successfully lured Zergs to kill some people, I guess. The Sons of Korhal, the illustrious Joker. Let's see, we killed 145 guys, only lost 29, and we raised, I never knew how to say that as a kid, 27, we lost 4 though. They razzed us some structures too. We razzed them and they razzed us. The Zerg, lured by the psi emitter's signal, descend upon the unsuspecting Confederate forces and annihilate them. Once again, the Protoss fleet, under the command of the High Templar Tassadar, arrived and incinerated the planet. That's a bit overkill, don't you think? I mean, when you have a roach infestation, you don't burn the house down. You wipe the roaches out. Anyway, we've gone through a handful of missions here for the Terrans today in Starcraft. So this game, once again, is in the book 1,001 Video Games You Must Play Before You Die. And I can tell you this, before I even get to my part 2 and my part 3, I definitely wholeheartedly agree with that. I think this is one of the classic real-time strategy games out there, and one of the greatest games out there. That is, of course, my own personal opinion, so if you do disagree, feel free to let me know why I'm wrong in the comments, or why you don't completely endorse this game. But, as I say, I'm going to be coming back in a couple days. We're going to have a part 2 follow-up to this video where we're going to explore the Zerg. And following that, we're going to have a part 3 where we explore the Protoss. Because this is such a big game, you just can't fit it all in one video. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed our preliminary examination here of StarCraft today. If you have, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and remember to tune back in a few days because you don't want to miss out on part 2. So until next time, my friends, get weird with it. I don't know. For some weird reason, I don't know what to say at the end of this video here. I will see you soon. I guess I will say that. So until next time, guys, peace. So this is actually an example of a use map settings game where you basically just have to protect your Nexus from being attacked. You have these 3 units, and you can't really do anything else. You have a timer, and the computer just sends all sorts of random units at you to kill you. This is actually one of the default use map settings maps that was released with the original StarCraft. In order to show you some of the other ones, I would have to upgrade from version 1, and I'm not quite ready to do that just yet. And we completed the wave, and it reset, and we're on to the next level. You saw our Nexus exploded and reset. So there are all these interesting like game triggers and stuff. And again, I have 3 minerals. That's because I'm on level 3. There's nothing to build, nothing to do. You just kind of do this. So this is kind of the simplest use map settings game you could possibly have. But it kind of just showcases the fact that you could have these different game modes, which I think is really cool. And people got really creative with this. Like, I mean, League of Legends it was actually a Warcraft 3 custom game mode, but, you know, Defense of the Ancients was a map just like this. It was a custom-made map that was all the same principles. So the very technology that allowed Defense of the Ancients to become a thing started here in StarCraft. So I think that is pretty cool. This guy's just like, what the hell is happening? He's just like locked in a cube of his own emotions.